I am going to show you today how to make the easiest, flakiest 4-ingredient homemade pie crust. You are going to feel like it's an old-fashioned recipe, but you're going to secretly know that this came together so easily. Hi, I'm Cassie Joy Garcia of Fed and Fit, and I am here to make our time in the kitchen as easy and delicious as possible. Today I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious, and truthfully, it's kind of a secret you're going to have. This is the easiest pie crust recipe out there, and it's so delicious. So we're going to start off with 1 cup of flour. This can be your favorite all-purpose flour mix. I'm going to add that right in to the bowl. When you know your bowls are a little damp, the flour sticks, it's no big deal. You just work it around. There we go. Waste not. This is definitely not sponsored. My favorite gluten-free flour mix, I happen to be gluten-free, but this recipe will work with regular wheat flour. But in case you're looking for it, this King Arthur flour, all-purpose 1-for-1 gluten-free substitution is my favorite, and it's a great swap. 1 tablespoon of sugar. I like to use a brown sugar with this recipe. You know, if you have coconut sugar, that's great. If you have white granulated sugar, that would be fine too. Just, you know, this one stuck a little bit also, no big deal. And then 1/2 of a teaspoon of a fine salt. So sea salt, kosher salt, whatever you've got. This is how easy this recipe is that no matter what sugar you've got, what flour you've got, or what kind of salt you've got, it's going to work really, really well. So those 3 ingredients, the dry ingredients, head into a bowl. I'm gonna whisk them to combine. And the point of whisking them is to just make sure that the sugar and the salt evenly distribute into your flour mixture. Once our flour is mixed, then we move on. The last real main ingredient is going to be butter. Chilled butter, 8 tablespoons of it. This is regular old dairy butter that I'm using, but you actually could also substitute this with a chilled coconut oil. You could also substitute it with chilled ghee. And we're going to mix this in. You could use a pastry cutter. I actually prefer to use my hands. And one of the cleanest ways to do it is to coat the butter as much as you can with flour as you work, breaking it up as you go. Once it starts to really incorporate like this, and we have a little bit of what feels like a wet sand texture, but with some larger clumps, don't be afraid to just start rubbing some of those chilled butter clumps into your hands. Don't run off and wash your hands yet. We're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of our chilled water. Start off with 2 tablespoons. No ice cubes, please. We don't want to overmix it for a couple of reasons. Having those larger little pieces of butter in the dough actually help make a flaky pie crust. But if your hands melt it a little too much or you overwork it a little much, don't worry about that. Forming it into a nice clumpy dough, a nice little ball. And we'll transfer this to the refrigerator for about an hour so it can chill a little bit longer. I'm just going to use a little bit of flour. Take my ball of chilled dough and kind of blot it around on the flour and then press it right here in the center. And then I like to roll with another piece of parchment on top, and this really helps eliminate any sticking. This is one of my fail-proof tips for you. To roll your dough, but it's not that tough, make an X with your rolling pin to anchor the dough and to start to spread it. And then we see we have these little lumps, and the goal is just to press down the lumps as we go to spread it again, and then we'll start rolling. If you find that your dough starts to break apart like that right there, don't fret, just pinch it back together and keep rolling. And I want it to be a little bit larger than my pie pan. So here's my pie pan, and I can tell when I place it there that there's plenty of dough around the edge, so this is probably the right size. First step, we take our top layer off. Look at that cutie. The texture is going to look uneven. There might even be a couple little minor tears. It's okay. This is going to be uneven around the outside. Also okay. This is going to all be great. We can work this into the pan exactly as we want it. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn my pie pan upside down, and then using my parchment paper, I'm going to help guide the crust into the corners of the pan. Just gently press as I go. I can start pulling this parchment away. Okay, so you see that little tear? Not a big deal. I'm just going to take a little extra dough, press it right in, and look, voila, it is gone. You can see that looking around the crust, that there's some parts that hang way over and some parts that have less. And so I'm just going to cut off the pieces that are hanging over. Don't throw those away, we're going to use them. Take your little pieces of trimmed crust and just glue them in. Fill in some of the gaps. Now what I'm going to do is start working my way around the crust, pressing this extra dough in where I feel like it might need it, where it might feel a little thin. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, in turning my crust, I'm going to work with 2 fingers. One finger sits around on the outside, acts as a little bit of a bumper. I'm going to go ahead and go around and pinch the crust into cute little waves. Again, this is a bonus step, you don't have to do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers, like baby shark. We're going to baby shark our way around. So we, on the outside, form a little V, and on the inside, gently press in with our finger.